Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining in daily study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter, is it 90? It's
89.
89. We're still on 89. Okay.
24
And we're
to
beginning with
29.
text number 24. We woke up to a fire in the building. It's an empty building. I think originally the person got evicted or something, or the bank took it over, but it's been sitting there, 3-story building, and it was like 5 something. It was on fire, and so we all the fire trucks are around, and that's the interesting thing in the neighborhood right now. But we have to see what's the eternal interesting thing in the Bhagavatam. This is always interesting. So we're on text number 24 to 29. Himsha viharam nirpatim dushilam atiyendriyam prajapajanti siddhanti daridra nitya dukitaha. The citizens serving such a wicked king who takes pleasure in violence and cannot control his senses are doomed to suffer poverty and constant misery. So there's no commentary here. You do find that Jiva Goswami and Sanat Goswami um, do share commentaries, and basically, that just as how many of you heard the story of Yamunacharya when he became a child, when he defeated the court pundit of King Kohala? Anybody heard this? So there was a pundit called what was his name? He was a great, powerful debater, and he basically made a tax upon all teachers in the land, all brahmanas in the land had to pay him a tax. And that came through the power of the king. They had to pay him a tax uh, if they could not defeat him in debate. If they could not defeat him in debate, they would have to pay a yearly tax. And so at one point, one of the young, proud students of this debater came to the ashram of Yamunacharya. He was about 5 or 6 years old, serving at the guru's ashram. Usually the guru means a husband and wife. They have a teaching school. And so this proud student came over there and said, "Hey, tell your Kohala, yeah. Tell your stupid teacher that he needs to pay his taxes." And the kid said, "Well, why does he have to pay some tax?" He said, "Because he was defeated in debate by my guru." And so the kid said, "Well, I'll defeat your guru then." He said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, I'll defeat your guru. Tell the king to order him to bring a palanquin to this ashram and bring me to the king's court, and I'll defeat your guru in front of everyone." And so they did that. They brought the king's palanquin. Uh, the boy was, young child was brought in, and the pundit, he saw the boy. He said, "Oh my God, this child thinks he's going to defeat me." And then the boy said, actually, even before the boy said anything, the wife looked at the boy and said, "This kid's going to win. Something special about this kid." And so the king and his wife started daring each other. It's kind of a negative bet. king said, wife said, if this boy loses, I'll become my maid's maid. And she was serious. And the king said, you think this boy's going to win? If this boy wins, I'll give him half my kingdom. And so then the debate started. First, they debated some of the kind of standard things that they do, like kind of grammar, kind of word jugglery. And it was going on for a long time. And the boy was toe to toe with this powerful scholar. And then the boy uh, presented three arguments, and he said, I want you to tell me how these arguments are true. Number one, the queen is barren. The queen, she had a child. Number two, the queen is an unfaithful lady. She's unchaste. And number three, the king is sinful. And he said, you want me to present how those things are true? Those things are ridiculous. He has a son, the queen, she's noble. The king, he's noble. She's not sinful. She's not a unchaste woman. She's chaste with her husband. These are absolutely ridiculous statements, and I cannot, take that. He said, so you won't take the challenge? There's no way? He said, this is ridiculous. What a ridiculous argument. And then the boy quoted some obscure Vedic reference where it says, if a mother has one child, she sometimes can be still called barren. And the king and the queen are. Yeah. And she said, the wife of the king, of course, is chaste. But the king, he represents Lord Indra, Agni. He represents 7 different devas. She's married to 7 different people, and therefore she is unchaste, and the king and the queen. And if they said anything else, like something insulting, it was like, you're done for. And he said, the king, of course, he is pious, but his citizens we are in Kali Yuga, and that means there is some sin, and he has to share 1/6 of the sin of his citizens. And so here in the verse, we find that the citizens serving such a wicked king, it also works the other way around, who takes pleasure in violence and cannot control his senses, are doomed to suffer poverty and constant misery. So Sanat Goswami says, by giving taxes to such a king, they also decline. So we suffer when we serve wicked masters. That boy, Yamunacharya, did inherit half the kingdom. In that inheriting half the kingdom, he also had, unfortunately, become bewildered by the transcendental power of the Lord's Maya. He actually became uh, bewildered by Maya, and then later on, his uncle Natamuni came and sought him out to try to reawaken the great spiritual nature that was covered over. So he was a king. He was a wealthy person with owning half of this kingdom, and so his uncle would bring this special kind of spinach that would bring up the mode of goodness called tudavalai. And he would bring this on a weekly basis, on a particular, either it was a particular day or a particular hour. And then one day he did not show up. So yeah, it should be daily. And the king said, hey, where's my spinach? Where's this tudavalai? And actually it brings out a very sattvic nature type by taking this type of spinach. And he said, well, the cook said, well, there's an older man. He brings it daily, but he didn't come today. He said, well, where is he? How much does he charge? He says he doesn't charge anything. He does it for his love for you. He said, well, I want to see this man next time he comes. So he brought him. And then the man's Natamuni, his uncle, said, I'm actually your uncle. And I have come to tell you that you actually have, there is a grand fortune that's in your inheritance that has been left for you, but it's stored as a treasure, and I want you to come and get this treasure. He said, "Yes, I will get my army and my military ministers, and we'll have a great procession." He said, "It actually this treasure is on an island. Uh, it has there's rivers on all different sides, and there's a demon that comes there every 6 months to look upon this treasure. And actually, if you want to be able to access this treasure, you just have to come with me." We said, "Okay, sure, we'll go together." And so they both went together to Srirangam, the ancient deity of Lord Vishnu. And he showed him the treasure of his heart, the beautiful eyes of Lord Vishnu. And he realized, okay, this is my lost treasure. The demon that would come every 6 months to peer upon this treasure was the brother of Ravana, the Vibhishan, the great devotee. So it's a story about Yamunacharya, who is the the inspiration, the Shiksha Guru of Sri Ramanujacharya, who is the father of, thank you, of the whole Sri Sampradaya, is the Acharya of the Sri Sampradaya. So text number 25. Evam dvitiya viparishish viparishi tirdam tvevam evacha vishritya sanripadhwari tam gatam samagatayah gatayat gatyata gatyata. Yeah. The wise Brahmin suffered the same tragedy with his second and third child, and each time he left the body of his dead son at the king's door and sang the same song of lamentation. Brahmana Drisha. You are haters of Brahmanas. He's feeling great misery. He said he claimed that the king hated Brahmanas. Actually, he's described here as Vipra Rishi. He's this Brahmana. He knows that he is living um, a sinless life. He is a Vipra Rishi, very elevated Vipra Brahmana, and that if it was some karma related to him, that it would happen before the child's birth, but it was after the child's birth, and thus he said it was the king's fault. He said this is because the king takes pleasure in violence. So he's making these very bold and powerful claims upon the Yadavas. Tam Arjuna upashritya karhichit keshavantike parete navami bhale brahmanam samabhrashata kim shrit brahmam stvanish nivase ihanashti dhanurdhara Rajan Bhandurete Vai Brahmana Shatram Asate. When the ninth child died, Arjuna, who was near Lord Keshava, happened to overhear the Brahmana lamenting. Thus Arjuna addressed the Brahmana. Excuse me. What is the matter, my dear Brahmana? Isn't there some lowly member of the royal order here who can at least stand before your house with bow in his hand? These Kshatriyas are behaving as if they were Brahmanas idly engaged in fire sacrifices. So this morning we saw the firemen. Uh, they were not um, timid. They're getting on this, ladder, 4 stories, 3 stories in the air, going. It's above the building, so it's a 3-story building. So they're 4 or 5 stories up on this ladder, where the fire is blazing, and they're climbing up there, and then jumping onto the building and cutting things down. And so there's no timidness there. This is the nature of someone who is supposed to be a fireman. He sees a building on fire, and he wants to run in and address the situation. There was nobody living there. Hopefully there was no squatters or anything. I don't think there was any. Didn't seem like anybody was there. I'm not sure what started the fire, but this is the nature of the kshatriya. Is this um, he is ready for action, ready for protection, and intolerant of injustice. So we have commentary here. Actually, doesn't there's nothing in the BBT. There's still no commentary. Actually, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he says that that Arjuna, pointing with his index finger, Arjuna answers sarcastically, saying that these Kshatriyas are behaving like Brahmanas. What will happen to those they're supposed to protect? Therefore, the Kshatriyas in this court deserve to be killed. This is Arjuna. He's very upset, and he's saying these are unworthy leaders. That the leaders are not meant to be just so transcendently situated that they neglect protecting those who are under that are under their protection. Text 28. Dana daratmaja prakrita yatra shochanti brahmana tevai rajan veshena nata jivanti asubhara. The rulers of a kingdom which a Brahmana laments over lost wealth, wives and children, are merely impostors playing the roles of kings just to earn their livelihood. So still no commentary, but you have some notes here by Jiva Goswami. We find that wealth is important to protect, but these are actually in a particular order. You have Dana and Dhara. The wife is more important to protect than the wealth. But here it says Atmaja, the children are most important. They're most vulnerable. You know? So this is in order of least important to most important. Um, we want to give protection to the most vulnerable. Aham praja vam bhagavan rakshise dinayor iha anishtirna pratigognim pravikshe hatta kalmashaha. My Lord, I will protect the progeny of you and your wife who are in such distress, and if I fail to keep my promise, I will enter fire to atone for my sin. And so here is the purport we have. The chivalrous Arjuna could not tolerate the shame of being unable to fulfill his promise. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sambha vitasya chakrirtir maranad ati richate. For a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. Let's see what other comments have here. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Le Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantika Katanchana Smite Yasmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhavet Vismite Viparitam Shat Shri Chaitanya Namamitam. Hare Krishna. So we like it when people take ourselves seriously, when people listen to us. Um, we feel that's how we're respected. But how does one respect oneself? How did one become respectable? I see Arjuna is. How does one become respectable? Are you listening? Are you also listening to yourself? If you say, I do this, how frequently is it that you actually do it? I promise this. How frequently is it you actually fulfill that promise? And so, respecting oneself is meaning that one's words are truthful. Actually, in the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada writes, I think I don't remember, it was such a long time about reading this. I think it's in the first canto. Prabhupada writes about, um, or maybe it was in a lecture, but Prabhupada talks about speaking honestly. And he says if one can speak without telling a lie for 12 years, then their words will become truth. You find the rishis, how are they able to pronounce these curses? How they're able to say, you will, a snake, dragon, snake and bird will come and kill you within 7 days. Because without, they have this noble power of always being situated in truth. And therefore, when they speak such words, you could say it's a prediction of the future, or it is a calling to of something to manifest in the future, but their words become truth. Just like we dream, nothing really comes out of our dreams. We just dream. But Lord Vishnu, because he is situated in truth, he is fully Shuddha Sattva. His dreams become reality, and so we're all situated in the dream of Lord Vishnu. He's lying there on the causal ocean, and this is the closest thing he has to working. All that Krishna does is Leela, he just plays. But a little bit close to working is he takes a nap and he dreams up the material universes. And then he enters into one of those universes, lies down, and he dreams up everything else into reality. And so the Brahmanas are those who speak truth, their words become reality. Uh, you know this famous story where the person brings their kid to the sage and said, my kid, he's eating too much candy. Um, can you tell him don't eat candy? And he said, yes, come back in a week. And okay. And he comes back in a week and he tells the kid, don't eat candy. The kid says, yes. And then the parents like, oh, thank you. Thank you, great sadhu. Um, why didn't you just say that a week ago? He said, well, I was also eating candy. My words would have no power, no weight to them. So I stopped eating candy so I would have the power to tell someone not to eat candy. And therefore, we're meant to teach according to our realization. You find that Srila Prabhupada he was appreciating Sarasvati. She would go up to people and say, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We're all meant to share Krishna, and we try to share according to our realization. And so we may have some understanding. We're not the body. We share that. We have some understanding. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We share that as well. And so in this way, we we preach what we know. And so in this verse, they quote Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text number 34. Akirtam chapti bhutani kata yashyanti te bhayam. Sambhavitasya chakirtir maranad ati richate. So akirtam, kirtida. Kirti means this is fame. It may, I'm wondering, I was gonna ask, look up the difference between kirti and yasha. Just like Yashoda, she brought fame to this world by giving Krishna, and Kirtida, she also brought fame into this world by bringing in Radharani. But both of these words have slightly different meanings. I didn't get a chance to look into it. So people always, the translation, people always speak of your infamy. For a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. And generally, when we read that, we might just think that this is talking about someone who has been filled with pride. Then they'll just, it's worse to die than have your pride destroyed. But this is not just a statement of someone who is um, been honored and thus full of pride, but rather someone who's lived uh, as a respectable life, and to have um, the uh, the idea of disrespectful acts presented by himself is worse than death. That he does not want to present a disrespectful life. He wants to be an acharya, wants to show how to live properly. Actually, you have Lord Ramachandra in the end of the Ramayana. He presents that. I have the quote here. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, here, wait. Oh, here's one quote. Karna was not convinced. Where is this quote? Hold on, hold on. Can't find it. Karna says, "Fame prolongs life and leads to heaven." So this kind of fame is like when they told Hanuman, as long as the Ramayana is being glorified, you will live. Which means as long as your glorious acts are being uh, known, then you will live. And so this becomes kind of like almost like a secondary system of karma, where if someone in this world is being recognized for their ill behavior, they continue to get reactions. Like people are always talking about Hitler. I'm sure he's continuing to get reactions just because of the infamy he has created. And similarly, when someone has fame for their noble actions, they also continue to get piety or punya. They also get to continue to benefit from those reactions, as mentioned here in the Mahabharata by Karna. Now, where is it? Rama shook his head as he went on. He said, "Infamy is to be avoided at all means." Means one. It doesn't mean we always want to put a face that we're well behaved, but we want to actually live in such a way that we carry a noble. What is the word? Um the word that comes to mind is lineage, but that's not the right word. But basically, we want to carry on a who can help me? We got Anupam. He is the wordsmith. He is the writer.
You're talking about a disposition or some kind of
Legacy.
legacy.
Yes, yes. We want to have a noble legacy. Uh, Infamy is to be voided by all means. This is Lord Ramachandra in the Ramayana. It is censured by even the gods. As long as one's infamy remains current on earth, one stays in hell. So I guess we know where Hitler is. Great souls always endeavor for fame. So this is different from Instagram fame. This is not what they're talking about. This is talking about having noble legacy. Like Prabhupada, he's famous, but because of his character and his behavior and his sacrifice and his affection and his love, good repute in this world. And to avoid disrepute, Ram says, I will give up everything. To avoid creating a bad legacy, I will renounce everything in this world. So we hear this verse again. For a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. This is not just merely saying someone who's proud, who's received some praise, to lose that is worse than dying. But rather, the person does not want to create legacies of bad behavior. They want to uh, present legacies of yat yat achariti sheshtas, that those who follow their by living such a noble life, others will follow in the footsteps of them. Let's see if we have any other notes here.
You're saying ideally we want to influence people in devotional service, right?
Yes,
Krishna.
yes.
So what happened with this king? I mean, it, he's being accused of horrible things. The Brahmin is suffering because his children died. And he said, you have not controlled your senses, therefore you haven't done your duty, therefore, I'm disturbed, and he's accusing him. So is it true?
We'll find out. We'll find out. Actually, I don't have the. I've read ahead. I know the pastime, but I don't want to take all the story away from those who are going to be
I see.
doing the verses later on. So yeah, this section in the Bhagavatam is giving basically where you have one more chapter, which is the final conclusion, but it's really reinstating. First part of the chapter was the story of Bhrigu Muni, and as I mentioned last class, we talked about the example that's given in the first canto, chapter 2 of the Bhagavatam, of the three modes of material nature, of wood, smoke, and fire. So the illuminating quality, the fire within wood, is covered over and it is inert. And so that is the mode of ignorance. It's inert, and its mode of ignorance is inertia. Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur defines enthusiasm as not letting inertia sit in your devotional service. So when you come to the temple, dance for Krishna. Don't have inertia sit in your devotional service. Be ready and active to give yourself to the Lord. So mode of ignorance, inertia and covering covers one's knowledge. Mode of passion is like smoke. It is active. Smoke is active, but it is agitating. It's burning to the eyes. So the mode of passion is there is some ability to gain some knowledge when you're in the mode of passion, but it is also agitated by so many desires. But the mode of goodness is not only active; it's illuminating. The fire is like that. It's illuminating, and it's active, but it has full clarity. And so the sages in this first canto, they're saying we should approach the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of the mode of goodness, and who is also transcendental of the mode of goodness. That will give us the most benefit. And so we have the story of Bhrigu Muni, who's seeing who is actually in the mode of goodness, who is not affected by ignorance or passion. And how did he do that? The Lord is lying down with his head on the lap of Lakshmi, and he kicks the Lord in the chest. So we hear, okay, we're meant to approach Lord Vishnu, Vishnu Tattva. But all forms of Vishnu Tattva, this later part of the chapter is going to illustrate that even Lord Vishnu has to go through so much trouble to get the audience of Krishna. Krishna is Lord Vishnu, but still he takes the role, as Balaram takes the role of the servant. Shesha is as the bed of Vishnu. All others take the role of servants of Krishna, even his own forms. And so we see Vishnu was not able to just make his presence there in Dwarka and just have the audience. He actually had to devise this plan by which he would have Krishna would go there with Arjuna all the way back to um, to see Vaikunta, the son of Vikunta, who's it's a spiritual planet in our universe. It's not. We're not talking about the Vaikuntha and beyond this realm, but it is a spiritual planet within this material universe. They flew up there, and he got the audience of the Lord, and this was to establish the supreme position of Krishna as the Swayam Bhagavan, the reservoir of all qualities, the reservoir of um, um, all features of the Lord that are not necessarily revealed in other forms. Although all forms of the Lord are the Lord, it's in the form of Krishna where he reveals all these qualities. So we can stop here. We have some time. We can see if there's some reflections or any questions or anything people want to share in regards to the verses that we just read. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. What about forgiveness? If we do something wrong that may affect our lineage and heritage, are we entitled to forgiveness? How do we feel about being forgiven? Is it something we can claim? Are you supposed to forgive me? There's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Even if I do something abominable, you should consider me saintly.
So a humble position means that we should take what is called the anutap, means that we have to have resentment, not just a claim of forgiveness. I'm a devotee, therefore, everything I do is okay because I chant Hare Krishna and everything's fine. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the most abominable person is considered saintly, and therefore I'm not just a devotee, I'm a saint. Because he says most abominable things, so therefore automatically I must be a saint. Now, Madhavananda Prabhu, in he said he's read Bhaktivinoda Thakur's. Um, he wrote a comment on that verse saying that this applies to those who are anutap, who actually have regret for their activities, nothing near anutap, that those who do not have regret. And so, yeah, forgiveness can be given by the Lord. Um, and we may actually have to seek forgiveness from the devotees. As you see, Bhrigu Muni, he was not forgiven by the Lord. Said, I'm sold out to my devotee. If you want forgiveness, you have to go to or not Bhrigu Muni, um, Durvasa Muni. You have to go to Ambarish. You have to go to him. That's where you have to go for the forgiveness. So we can't just take it on that I chant Hare Krishna and I do these things. Therefore, I do not need to have the sense of responsibility, which is very much highlighted in these verses, that anyone who has some kind of responsibility over something there, that means we have to take accountability. And we may not be a Kshatriya and responsible for the kingdom, but there's things that we still are responsible for and that we have to take accountability, like Arjuna is taking accountability.
Thank you, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. Any questions from audience? Adipusha Prabhu?
No.
No? Somebody unmuted you. So whoever unmuted you needs to ask a question. Angel? We need a burning question, dear devotees, please.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Oh, here's Jamuna Jaya.
Hi, Hare Krishna. Thank you for class. I always love silly thing, but I always love the way you sing the verses. There's such jazz sound to it. I think Christian would like it because he's a jazz musician on his flute. But anyway, and just this whole discussion is just highlighting responsibility, and that's something I always like love about this tradition, that there's responsibility. It's not like you're saying, I just can't. I mean, chanting Hare Krishna, I can do what I want. We know it's an offense, and this is what we
Did
see
Arjuna
all along the
say,
way.
"It's your karma"?
Right? Yeah, yeah.
He said he
It's
took it
like
on himself.
he took it on himself, and I love that. I love that accountability, and I love that taking on of the responsibility so much in our tradition. And so, thank you so much for highlighting that in so many ways. And I always think about that's why Krishna talks about sacrifices never to be stopped, because when you're sacrificing, at least wherever you are, there is a I'm not doing it. There is something above me. I have to be part of the team, part of the practice. I have to take on my role. So I really appreciate that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, you find this story of this story with Arjuna. You have the story of Prithu when there's not grains. He doesn't say, "Well, it's probably all everybody else's fault." He takes it as his responsibility and takes the accountability on it. You don't find, although we have the understanding of karma, it's never told. You don't find it in the Bhagavatam. Okay, it's your karma. You're getting this. Rather, the leaders take responsibility. Individually one may see something as karma, but socially we always want to reduce unnecessary suffering, or also called akala mrityu, a untimely death. We want to actually reduce these kind of miseries out of compassion, and therefore we don't just tell people it's your karma or this or that. We understand that individually we may see something with our own personal responsibility, but we don't throw it upon others.
Thank you for that distinction, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. There's a question in the chat from Neha. In Brahma Vimohan Lila, when Brahma tested Krishna to check his superiority, he upset Krishna. Krishna was also angry. But when Bhrigu Muni came to test Vishnu, he shows humility even when he offends two of his great devotees. Why Krishna shows different sides of him? Yeah, great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what happened? Bhrigu Muni didn't kidnap Lakshmi, and he did the worst thing he could think of. He's a sage, and he did really bad, but it was the worst thing he could think he could do. Um, but Brahma, he took away Krishna's friends, and it's actually Prabhupada writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that we should not say like if you are in, say you were with Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago, and then you're constantly falling around and saying, "Hey, he's God, he's God, he's not a brahmana, he's not the son of this, he's the supreme personality of Godhead." Prabhupada said we should not disturb Krishna's leela like that. It's just like when someone is a child is playing a game, they're playing cops and robbers. They enjoy being in that play. They enjoy the roles and the relationships and all the fun and the the you could say the ras that is there in that in those exchanges. And so what did Brahma do? He took away Krishna's friends. He took away the whole fun just because he wanted to test Krishna. Yeah, Krishna's not gonna be happy. He took away his dear friends. Oh. Whereas Bhrigu Muni is not. He's not taking away any dear friends. He's not interrupting Krishna's playtime. And Krishna is, yeah, like you say, multifaceted. He's not going to do like I remember listening to one lecture, and at some point, sometimes you think, "Oh, I've listened to like 400 or 500 lectures, Srila Prabhupada. I know what he's going to say," and then he just, yeah, you don't know what he's going to say. I was listening to one lecture, and Prabhupada was talking about Americans, couples, how they're not really. Like these young couples, they're not really chaste with each other. They're not like um, dedicated to each other. They're not committed to each other. And he said, and this is also good. And he said in such a way like, yeah, this person, this young American person can like join the ashram and just give himself to Krishna because he's not committed to his girlfriend, or the girlfriend can join the ashram because she's not committed to her boyfriend. Or in India, you will find someone can't join the ashram because they have strong family ties and commitments. And it was very, very hard for any young Indian college student to be able to join the ashram. It was hard for him emotionally. Whereas he said these young Americans, that lack of commitment to the relationship was also, he said, this is also good. Appears like we should have darshan time now. Shri Shri Radha Murlidhar Ki.
Hare Krishna. This is the Afterglow. Nityananda Chandra Prabhu, you have a minute to stay over time? Thank you. Bhima Kaviraj. Sorry, the darshan is still going. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Ram say Jai. Hare Krishna. Afterglow with the Acharya. Bhima Prabhu.
Somebody kindly
You,
give Ananda Bihari steel string neck beads that Ram can't break.
It's coming in the mail.
victory.
Go ahead, Bhima Prabhu.
I really didn't have anything to say. I just, Adi has something he always likes to quote, which is final. It's a declarative sentence, and it's the only thing you need to know in Krishna consciousness as far as activities go. And that is, no one gets away with nothing. No one gets away with anything. And that we always talk about Krishna, the things we have to do to repent. The thing is even if you do repent, Krishna makes sure that you're aware of what you did. And if you are at all introspective, contemplative, and are able to reflect upon your own life without reaching out and blaming somebody else, and you see that something has happened to you, then you can rest assured that this is simply the coming around of what goes around comes around. And with that, you can free yourself. You can free yourself. You understand that you're on a game board called material nature. And if you play a hand a certain way, then you are going to you're going to be defeated. You know, if you're cheating, you know, one of the who can tell me the what is it, the four faults of humans? One of them is a cheating nature. And what were the other ones? Imperfect senses. What are the other two?
Vipralipsa is the cheating. Brahma is means you make errors, and that's also like an error, like in a type of an illusion. Pramada is you're just not conscious. You're an illusion, and Karnapatava is the sense organs themselves are imperfect.
So of those four, the one you're in illusion, doesn't the illusion result from the desire to be ignorant? Like you're actually ignoring what you've been told, and so you do it anyways. So one can't say I was in illusion, you know, the sorcerer of material nature, the sorceress tricked me, you know, but actually you wanted to be tricked. You wanted to play a duplicitous role. You wanted to say one thing and do another. Is this not true? That's a volition of our own will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
prior to the illusion, but when we're in the illusion, then we don't We don't
Yeah.
have that
Well, if
consciousness.
yeah, you falling from a car after you go 120 miles per hour and you can't make the turn and you go into a tree, that's your own damn fault. So you were in the illusion as it was hitting the tree. So the thing is that we should all. I mean, they say that the first knowledge is fear of God. And I would probably, Prabhu, could you expand? Isn't that more like the first knowledge is fear of material nature, of understanding our fallibility in front of material nature, rather than fear of God?
You have in the pastime in the 10th canto, I believe it's first chapter, it talks about the six enemies of the mind, the six garbasuras, or the six, either six desires or six impulses, six senses as well. And that uh, and Kamsa represents fear. And that if we have a healthy fear of material energy, and we disengage or we kill those desires, then what comes next is the birth of Balaram, comes the birth of devotional service, and from devotional service after Balaram comes Krishna. So yeah, healthy fear of material nature paves the way to devotional service, which paves the way to Krishna's appearance in your life.
So that would say that every karmic reaction we get is actually for our own good. Is this not true?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so there's another way to handle that. When the stuff comes back down upon you, instead of fretting or regretting, you take it on and you say, "Okay, now I have learned this lesson. This is the briar. This is the thorn, the mountain of thorns that I just covered and gotten over. It was the wrong path. I went through the underbrush. I took the wrong path, and therefore I will get back on the right path." So at all times, Krishna says, is this what the meaning of the Gita verse, where Krishna says, "By in all respects, all men follow my path"? Is that correct understanding, Prabhu?
Uh, as far as I understand, all men follow my path means that Krishna is in everyone's heart, and he is working responsively with everyone's actual inclinations. Um, if they want him, he is directing them. If they don't want him, he's still there, and they will eventually come to him. But yeah, he's the one who's producing the results for, as he says in the seventh chapter, with those who worship the demigods, they're actually worshiping me, but they're not doing it directly, they're not doing it the right way. But I provide the results, and I provide their faith. I give them faith in the demigods because that's where their mindset is. I want to do some kind of business. Um, so I give them the faith, I give them the result. Where Bhagavatam says, but we can just worship Krishna directly, even if we do have desires, and then everything becomes purified in that way. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, he approached Krishna. He wanted not just an iPad or a brownstone. He wanted a whole universe for himself, and he got purified in wanting it in relationship with Krishna.
So it's best to not so much abandon our desires, but to always remember Krishna while we have these desires, and then watch him do his work
Yeah.
in regards to either allowing us or the facility to accomplish something, or the means by which to learn a lesson that perhaps that is not what pleases him. Is
Yeah.
that correct? Yes.
Now he'll
Thank
give what is, he may give what we desire, but if it's good for us,
yeah.
you know.
Thank you, Prabhu. Wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Bhima Prabhu, you're following Krishna's path. Even when you're going into a tree, you'll be transformed after that. Like Nityananda Chandra Prabhu mentioned yesterday, it's not just
I
time.
I
It's
told the oak tree he was in my way, and he stepped out of the way.
yeah, I'm following Krishna's path. Get out of the way. Yeah, Bhima Prabhu, you got it. You always get the right understanding of the point. Nityananda Chandra Prabhu, concluding remark. Oh, hold on. Narottam Nitai Prabhu is raising his
Yeah,
hand.
no, I was trying to like, I, well, I want to say first, I'm sorry, I didn't, I was just listening, but I wasn't fully understanding, grasping everything because my own understanding is limited. So, but my thing is like, yeah, like the Krishna conscious path is like, how can I say? We glorify other devotees, we glorify Krishna, we glorify Mahaprabhu. Um, and by doing so, um, we stay in Krishna consciousness, keep progressing. So, does that mean by glorifying other devotees, well, we're in a sense, how can I say, we're we're like the reciprocation comes back in the sense because I know you said Prabhuji that during a lecture that if we're remembered for infamy, like it's like worse than death. So like, but if we keep glorifying our each other devotees and stuff, then I guess we become glorious, and then therefore, you know, we're remembered for our the good things we did in Krishna consciousness. Is that true? Because so I guess that's what I wanted to ask. Is like,
Could you say the question once again?
yeah, so like, you know that verse in the Bhagavad Gita, infamy is worse than death.
Yes.
And I remember in the class you had gave an example of Arjuna saying something. So like, if we're remembered for infamy, we'll suffer for that. But if we're take to the devotional service where we glorify each other, or glorify the devotees, sorry, and and glorify Krishna in the process, will we be remembered for um the good things that we did in devotional service, and therefore we won't suffer? Is that the kind of
So you
input?
find that we we want to live a noble life, and you find that even Krishna himself, when there was infamy against Krishna, the infamy was that he stole the Shamantaka jewel and had Prasenna killed. Krishna made an honest endeavor to make sure that his that there wasn't a breach in his noble legacy, that he showed that not in a defensive mood, but rather just in taking accountability and responsibility. Okay, I'll go look for this jewel. I'll go do this. He took the kind of the sense of responsibility rather than, no, I'm great. Rather than just like a kind of a protection of one's pride. Rather, he just took responsibility if there was any sense of ill repute that was placed upon him. And so you have the story of the Shamantaka jewel, where Krishna was uh, accused of stealing the jewel and getting rid of Prasenna, who was carrying the jewel. And he spent a whole bunch of, was it 30 days? He spent some days fighting the Jambavan in the cave. All this just to prove his to be accountable and to be away from ill repute.
Thank you, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. Krishna knows what's going on. Therefore, we should serve quietly, right? Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. And we shouldn't worry about fame, acknowledgement, validation, right?
Oak trees.
So you
Yeah.
you have that also tata mana pamanayo, that we find so many times in the Gita and other places that the devotee is equal in fame and infamy. Meaning although we live nobly, that we're not um, seeking fame in the sense of some type of artificial notoriety, but we do want to live in such a way that we carry a good legacy, like Srila Prabhupada. He always carried a good legacy. So we want to live in a way, not just have just an outside external presence uh, of of a good behavior, but we want to live in such a way that the fame, the notoriety comes naturally because of our own character and our own actions.
Thank you, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. Okay, so let's complete the yagya by reciting the mantra, and we're going to request Manpreet to unmute herself and recite the Maha Mantra. Please, Manpreet, go ahead.
Actually, I'm driving, so I'll do my best. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you.
Sweet. Watch out for oak trees, Manpreet.
Oh, trees, yes.
Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu ki jai. Everyone on this call ki
Prabhupada.
jai. Hare Krishna. Love you. See you tomorrow.